Have you ever loved someone who never looked at you long enough to truly see you? Someone whose every reply felt like a whisper into silence, whose every touch was as cold as winter water, and yet your heart still raced for them. It sounds paradoxical, but the truth is we don't love with reason. We love with our wounds. That pull, the longing for a distant, emotionally unavailable man, doesn't come from the present. It echoes from the past, from the unconscious, from a buried part of you that never had a name. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Perhaps right now you're calling this love destiny. But what if it's not fate, but projection, a mirror of your inner world cast onto someone outside of you? If you've ever fallen for someone who couldn't give you what you truly deserve, then this video is for you. Because this isn't just about love, it's a journey back to yourself. Jung believed that every woman carries within her an inner image of the masculine, the animus. But this image is not just a fantasy, it's a composite, built from memories, emotions, and fragments of your earliest relationships, especially with your father or childhood authority figures. The distant man you're drawn to may well be the psychological echo of someone who once made you feel abandoned, judged, or forced to earn love. You love him, not necessarily because he is lovable, but because something in you still remains unhealed. Have you ever wondered, why do I keep repeating the same painful patterns in love? Why am I drawn to people who are unclear, unavailable, or even cruelly cold? This isn't about low standards. This is the unconscious at work, trying to reenact an old wound in the secret hope that this time the ending will be different. Jung called this process the shadow seeking the light. In this video, we'll go deep into the layers of analytical psychology, where painful love is no longer a mystery but a message. You'll discover why the image of the distant man holds such magnetic power, what unconscious forces keep pulling you toward love that hurts, and most importantly, how to love consciously, no longer ruled by the ghosts within. This isn't just an answer to a relationship, it's illumination for the soul. The first step on your journey of individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole, free, and truly yourself. So let's begin. Take a deep breath and walk with me into the realm of shadows, into the unconscious forces that have been steering your heart. Are you ready to face yourself? There is a strange truth about the inner world that few dare to confront. Many women do not fall in love with the man standing before them, but with a shadow living deep in their unconscious. This shadow, cold, distant, silent, yet powerfully magnetic, is not the man they see, but the symbol of an unintegrated animus, a father who was never fully present, a teacher they once admired, a figure who made them feel small, yet ignited a burning desire to prove their worth. All the unspoken, unfinished pieces gather to form a psychological image, one that quietly weaves itself into their romantic lives, like a fate already written. Carl Jung called this phenomenon projection. When a woman lacks inner awareness, she will inevitably project the rejected parts of herself, the silent longings, the hidden wounds onto others. And if her unconscious animus is mysterious and elusive, then a man who is cold, distant, and emotionally unavailable will awaken that very image with perfect precision. I want you to pause for a moment. Think of a man you once loved yet could never truly have. Did he make you feel like you were playing a game with no rules? Did he make you feel like you constantly had to strive harder just to be worthy? Did he stir your deepest insecurities, yet somehow draw you closer? If the answer is yes, then maybe it wasn't him you loved, but the hope that this time something inside you might finally be healed. In analytical psychology, love isn't seen as a simple emotion. It is the soul's cry for awakening. And sometimes the soul chooses the strangest path to love someone who doesn't love you back. Not because it enjoys suffering, but because that suffering becomes a map, a guide to the parts of you that have long remained in darkness. That cold, distant man may be the very embodiment of your shadow. Jung said, the shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. It is everything you don't want to admit, your vulnerability, your fear of abandonment, your sense of unworthiness. To love someone who does not return your love is your unconscious demanding you confront your own shadow. You want him to stay, but in truth, it is you who needs to stay with yourself. In the Jungian depth, love is not a story between two people. It is an inner ritual, a sacred trial of the soul. You don't get to choose who you love, but you do get to choose what you do with that love. Will you let it keep pulling you back into the same familiar spiral of pain? Or will you stop, turn inward, and ask, where in me is this coming from? Imagine your soul as a house with many rooms. Some are filled with light where you shine, feel confident, and are seen. But others are locked rooms where you were once abandoned, judged, or taught to stay silent in order to be accepted. That distant man did not enter your life to stay. He came to unlock one of those forgotten doors. He is a symbol, not a savior. I know it hurts, because you believe that if you tried hard enough, he would change. You believe that if you were just better, more lovable, he would finally see you. But Carl Jung would gently whisper, you meet your destiny on the road you take to avoid it. You were searching for love and found instead an unloved part of yourself. This is your invitation. Rather than continuing to fall for men who don't stay, begin the journey of recognizing the shadows you've projected onto them. Write it down. Who have you loved but could never have? Who did he remind you of from your past? And when you were with him, who did you become? I want to hear your story. Share in the comments. Have you ever fallen for a distant, emotionally unavailable man? How did it feel when he left? And more deeply, what did you discover in yourself through that heartbreak? Because you are not alone in this. We, those walking the path of awakening, need one another to reflect, to reveal, to illuminate. Let's connect. Tell your story. Someone out there may be waiting for the wisdom you've gained. And when you're ready, in the next part, I'll share why wounding relationships carry such intense allure and how you can transform that magnetic pull into the deepest force for healing. Don't look away. What's coming may just be your turning point. There is a kind of magnetism that defies logic, the pull of a wound left unhealed. We are not merely drawn to appearances, intelligence, or compatibility. We are drawn to what feels familiar, even if that familiarity hurts. When a woman repeatedly finds herself attracted to emotionally distant men, her unconscious is reenacting an old script, perhaps one written in childhood or in her earliest relationships. A deep-seated belief whispers, I must earn love. Carl Jung called this symbolic repetition a sacred attempt of the soul to heal by reliving. Just as a physical wound must be touched to release its pain, the soul too must return to its hurt in order to be freed. And paradoxically, the more distant, unclear, and emotionally unavailable he is, the more your unconscious believes he is the key. You think, if I can make this man open his heart, I've overcome my fear of rejection. If he chooses me, then I am finally worthy. But the truth is, you're not fighting for his love. You're fighting to save the wounded part of yourself. And when love becomes a battle for recognition, it ceases to be love. It becomes a silent ritual, a painful attempt at self-salvation through another. Carl Jung once wrote, suffering is not an accident, but a necessity. He believed that the suffering we endure in love is not meant to destroy us, but to bring us closer to the soul's awakening. The more you love those who don't love you back, the more obsessed you become with those who stay silent. The question is not, how do I make him love me, but rather, what part of me still believes I'm not enough? In Jungian analysis, I've met women who are successful, independent, adored by many, yet they find themselves magnetically drawn to men who are toxic. They say, I know he's not good for me, but I can't stop thinking about him. They are not addicted to the man, they are addicted to the hope that this time the story will end differently. Jung called this archetypal energy the primal symbols rising from the unconscious. They don't love the man himself. They love the imagined power of turning pain into love, of transforming coldness into warmth, rejection into acceptance. They are practicing alchemy of the soul disguised as ordinary love. But sadly, the man is not the right vessel for that transformation. And what you truly need is not someone to love you, but the ability to love yourself unconditionally. Once you see this, not with your mind, but with your lived experience, everything begins to shift. You'll stop chasing. You'll stop hoping for next time to be different. You'll begin to ask, who am I when I have nothing left to prove? If you've made it this far, I believe your soul is whispering something. Maybe it's, I'm tired of trying so hard to be loved. Maybe it's, I'm beginning to see that the ones I love are just mirrors of a pain I've never named. Let your heart rest for a moment. Close your eyes and ask yourself, does love really need to hurt this much? Or do I deserve a quieter, loved one and I don't have to fight for? I invite you to share. Comment below this video. Have you ever loved someone who made you feel not good enough? Are you carrying an unnamed memory that may still be running your life from the shadows? What part of you needs to be loved more deeply, not by someone else, but by you? We are not alone in this journey. There are so many out there with the same story. They just need someone brave enough to speak first. Be that person. Write. Connect. Because every time you share, you create space for someone else to heal. And if you're wondering, how do I break this pattern? How do I stop loving the wrong people? Then in the next part, we will enter one of the deepest chambers of Jungian psychology, the mechanism of projection, how we cast our inner shadows onto others, and how we can call those shadows back so we no longer have to search for them in someone else. You won't just understand why you love them, you'll learn how to love yourself with the full light of consciousness. See you in the next part. And if this resonated with you, subscribe. Don't let fear keep you silent. Your soul is listening, and so am I. There is something both cruel and deeply loving that Jungian psychology constantly whispers to us. Every person we love is not just a person, they are a symbol. The man you can't forget, the one who made you cry alone at night, the one who never wrote back, yet you still waited. Perhaps he's not your soulmate as your heart once believed, but a mirror reflecting a part of you that you've never felt safe enough to face. Carl Jung called this projection. When the psyche is not yet integrated, we don't see others as they truly are. We see them as we imagine them to be. We're not just drawn to someone because they're kind, intelligent, or magnetic. We're drawn to those who unconsciously awaken a forgotten self within us. That cold, distant man is not just himself. He is the screen onto which you've projected the image of a father who never held you long enough, a friend you once worked so hard to be noticed by, or the self-doubt you've tucked away behind a strong smile. You are not wrong for loving him. You simply need to know this. You are loving a part of yourself to split off and send out into the world through someone else. And the answer is not to hate him, nor to cut all ties with men like him. The answer is call the projection back. Reclaim your shadow. Return that man to his rightful place, just a human being, no more, no less. When a woman projects her inner animus, the masculine archetype within, onto a man, she stops seeing him. Instead, she sees a god, a savior, a figure powerful enough to heal her. But no one can carry that role forever, and no one is responsible for holding up a mirror to your wound. They leave not because you weren't good enough, but because the role was too heavy for a human to bear. In the analytic journey, Jung gently leads us inward and asks, what image are you projecting onto others? Who is it that you're truly searching for deep down? And what part of you needs to be held, accepted, and loved unconditionally? The shadow is not the bad part. It's simply the part you've yet to acknowledge. And the more you run from it, the more it finds its way back through the people you fall for. Like a messenger knocking on your door again and again until you're ready to open it and read the letter you once tried to forget. So how do you call your shadow home? Jung didn't offer quick fix techniques, but he did offer a direction: observation, awareness, integration. You can begin by writing, what traits do you consistently find attractive in distant men? What emotions repeat in your relationships? Being ignored, abandoned, never good enough. When was the first time in your life you felt that way? Each word you write down reclaims your psychological power. Each pattern you notice begins to dissolve the projection, and every emotion you name decodes another layer of your soul. Once again, I invite you to share. What kind of person have you fallen for? What feeling kept you from letting go? And if you look honestly, what part of you was living inside that image? Write it down, comment below, or speak it aloud if that's easier. Because when you say it, your shadow is seen. And that is the first step of healing. You don't have to be strong alone. We, those walking the path of remembering, can walk it together. And if you're now asking, I understand now, but how do I truly break free from this pattern? How do I stop repeating it next time? Then the next part is for you. We'll dive into the process of individuation, the sacred return to your true self, and how you can reconnect with your authentic animus, not as a projection cast onto others, but as a living inner power. You are not just the one who has been hurt. You are the one who holds the power to heal. And every love you've ever known has been a map if you're brave enough to read it. I'll see you in the next part, where your heart no longer chases someone out there, but begins to sit with itself like an old friend long forgotten. Hit subscribe if these words speak to you, and don't be afraid to share. We are learning to love again, not someone else, but ourselves. It's a nation. It is a ritual of transformation, and sometimes that ritual begins with a wound. When you love a distant man, someone who never truly sees you, who never stays, the pain isn't only about emotional absence. It's the ache of feeling unworthy of being chosen. But if you've gone deep enough within, you may begin to see the one who didn't choose you was simply a symbol so you could learn how to choose yourself. Carl Jung called this sacred path individuation, the soul's process of separating from illusions, projections, and old pain to become a whole authentic self. No one can walk this journey for you. No one can love you the right way enough to heal you completely. Because real love begins not when someone else holds you tightly, but when you dare to hold yourself, your light, and your shadow without shame. Individuation is not a one-time revelation. It is a cycle of dissolution and rebirth where every unanswered love, every tear-soaked pillow, every quiet withdrawal is a sign that your soul is waking up. For only when you hit the bottom do you become still enough to hear the voice in your heart say, I haven't truly been myself in a long time. Maybe you once tried so hard to be accepted, to be more lovable, less needy, more interesting, just to make someone stay. But individuation whispers, you don't need to be loved to be enough. The moment you stop trying to be chosen, you are at last choosing yourself. And from there, something miraculous happens. You no longer crave cold, distant men, not because they've changed, but because you no longer need anyone to reflect back the part of you you once abandoned. You've reunited with your inner animus, the inner masculine presence who does not leave, does not go silent, does not judge. He is not someone out there. He is your inner clarity, direction, and will. And when you listen to him, you become a whole radiant being. Jung said what you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. The more you avoid the truth, the more it clings to you. The more you try to fill the emptiness with unhealthy love, the deeper the void becomes. But when you face it, even if it hurts, something else begins to bloom: freedom. Freedom from chasing. Freedom to love without control. Freedom to be silent without feeling forgotten, to be present without begging to be seen. I invite you once again to share. What is rising in you as you read these words? Have you ever felt like you couldn't be fully yourself in a relationship? And if you could choose again, what would you now choose for your heart? Write it down for yourself and for those who will read your words, because maybe your story is the light someone else needs. We are awakening, but not alone. Be part of this community, a place where every emotion is welcome. And if you're wondering, how do I actually begin the journey back to myself? Are there tangible steps? Then the next part is for you. There I'll share practical jungian practices, how to work with your shadow, how to call back your animus, and how to step into the integrated state of wholeness. Not to become someone new, but to become who you already are beneath all the things you were taught to forget. I'll see you in the next part, where healing no longer depends on someone else, but begins with a gentle commitment to yourself. And if you see yourself in these words, subscribe. Don't let what you've just realized fade away into the noise. Write it down, live with it, share it, because your soul deserves to be seen. There's something sacred and deeply challenging about Jungian psychology. No one else can heal you. The only person who can is you when you return to your shadow and choose to walk into the light. You've probably heard this phrase before, love yourself. But in Jung's world, loving yourself isn't just about being kind to yourself. It means daring to face your whole self without hiding, without running. So where does that journey begin? Jung didn't offer simple advice. He invited us into a deep, silent dialogue with our own soul. Here are 5 foundational practices to begin your path of individuation. The journey back to your authentic self, no longer chasing cold reflections out there in the world. 1. Daily soul writing, 10 to 15 minutes. Write down everything in your mind without editing, without judgment. You can start with questions like, why do I feel lonely today? What part of me feels abandoned? Who does the person I love remind me of in my past? Write not from logic, but from the forgotten voice within. This isn't just journaling. It's a form of active imagination, the Jungian method of speaking with the unconscious. How to shadow inquiry list, the things you hated in someone you once loved, the coldness, the silence, the manipulation. Then ask, what part of me carries this same energy, but I've denied it? When have I gone silent with myself? Have I ever manipulated emotions to feel loved? Accepting your shadow doesn't make you bad. It makes you real. And from there, free. 3. Reclaiming the inner animus. Stop projecting your idea of the ideal man onto someone out there. Call that image back inward. Draw or imagine a man who symbolizes strength, wisdom, protection, the one you've always been seeking. Ask if he is part of me. What does he want to say to me today? Write it out. Imagine the conversation. Feel it. This is the first step to stop searching for wholeness outside and start cultivating it within. 4. Create sacred silence. Jung once said loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. The greatest loneliness is not being seen. So make space for intentional solitude. Take walks without your phone. Meditate for 5 minutes each morning, not to do it right, but to touch the part of you that exists without mirrors. 5. Turn your light outward. Part of individuation is bringing your light back to the world. When you tell the story of loving the wrong person, you're breaking a layer of shame. When you share what you've learned, you're lighting the way for someone else who hasn't yet begun. So again, I invite you to share, which of these 5 practices resonated with you most? How have you tried to heal before? And today, what small thing will you do to reconnect with yourself more deeply? We are a community of souls learning to love again. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to be honest. Comment below, connect, be the light. And if you're wondering, after all this, can I truly love someone without repeating the same old patterns? The answer is yes. But that person won't come from your emptiness. They'll come from your fullness. In the next and final part, we'll explore a hopeful closing chapter. How to recognize real love. How to know when you're loving from maturity. And the signs of a relationship born not from wounding, but from freedom. I'll see you in the final part, where love is no longer something you have to chase, but something you've always carried inside you, just forgot. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it, and don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'm listening. There comes a moment on the healing path when you're no longer angry at them, the distant man, the one who never truly saw you, the one who made you doubt your worth. You don't forgive because he deserves it. You forgive because your soul no longer wishes to live inside the prison of resentment. Carl Jung once said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. And you are waking up, not from a romantic dream, but into a deeper truth. True love doesn't begin when someone chooses you. It begins the moment you choose yourself. You used to think if only he were different, but now you realize it's not others that must change, but the way you speak to the unconscious parts within yourself. You no longer need someone to love you to feel worthy. You no longer rely on someone's coldness to define your emotions. You're beginning to move forward not through denial, but through the light of self-awareness. And this is not an ending. It is a new beginning. A beginning where you learn to love, not to fill a void, but to share from your fullness. A beginning where you stop searching for your other half because you're already whole. Love is not a reward for those who behave. Love is the awakening of a soul brave enough to walk through darkness. So if this video has spoken to you, if your heart feels soothed or stirred, I invite you to share. What have your past relationships taught you about yourself? What pain have you walked through, and what light did you find within it? I read every comment, and I know someone else needs to read your words too. Let's connect, because you are not alone. And if you want to continue this journey where Jungian psychology is not just knowledge, but a lantern on your path, subscribe. Here we don't talk about dating strategies. We walk together through the deepest layers of the soul, so that one day you will no longer ask, why doesn't he love me? But instead smile and say, I love myself enough that I no longer need anyone else to do it for me. Thank you for staying until the end. That tells me one thing: you are truly ready to live authentically. And I'm honored to walk beside you, even if just through this video. See you in the next one, where we'll keep exploring the unspoken depths, where you won't just listen, but begin to remember who you were before the world told you to forget. Subscribe, comment, keep going. Because individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are, has just begun.